How are you, Layla?
I'm doing good. How are you, Kendrick?
Good to be alive. Thank you for asking. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Yes, I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Tell me something good.
Tell you something good. Well, of course, you started out with a good word is, I'm happy to be alive today. Um, what else is good news? Well, I just booked a Lifetime movie and I'm on hold for a guest star in Chicago Fire. So
Okay, nice. That'll work. You got a couple irons in the fire.
that's right. You got to keep a couple in there all the time.
Sounds good. Layla, tell me, it's like growing up on a farm, spending a significant portion of your life on a farm. What inspired or encouraged you to want to get into entertainment?
It kind of snuck up on me. I never planned for it. I actually didn't know what I was going to do when I got to college, and it was a college advisor. His name's Dr. Bridges, and he was just there to kind of guide me in any direction I wanted to go. He just happened to be the chair of the communication department, and he had his tie in the media and all that stuff. And so he was like, have you ever thought, I know I'm not supposed to kind of guide you in my direction, but have you ever thought about doing anything in TV or, any kind of broadcast media? And I was like, no, probably not. I'm not into that. So I started out as an art major and got about a year into it and thought, what am I going to do with an art major? And so I kind of started rethinking about what Dr. Bridges had offered me. And I thought, maybe I'll just take a couple classes, got into it. And I just soaked everything up, from the drama courses to the behind the scenes TV production courses to like communication theory, the way humans interact with each other, which plays a lot into acting and technique and all that stuff. But I ate it all up. And I thought, this is what I'm meant to do for sure. But I fell in love with it in college.
Okay. So there was no indication in your childhood, your teenage years, that hinted even that you want to go in that direction?
No, honestly, I didn't even plan to go to college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. My parents, I grew up, both my parents are antique dealers for a living. So kind of like modern day gypsies, I suppose. So I never really thought further beyond getting married and like, who knows what I'll do. Like, I never had any grand visions. I was really, really shy as a child, actually.
Really?
Yeah, like super introvert. My sister is like a wild one, and everybody always thought she was going to be some like crazy comedian or just, she's hilarious. She's really hilarious. And she's like the life of the party. But I was always like this shy little rat in the corner who like didn't speak to any. I literally was. And everybody's like, Layla's an actress. The people that I went to high school with are like, we just can't believe that you're doing this as a career. Yeah.
Now being that your sister had that personality and you have that personality, do the relationship between the two of you, does that still kind of play a part in even how you move as an actress, performer, entertainer these days?
That's a good question. I do draw on my sister a lot when I'm thinking of characters or funny. I play best friend a lot, or, a sister sometimes, but I always think about our relationship for sure. And I channel some of her when I'm doing some, I'm supposed to be the crazy friend or whatever. Like I channel my sister. Sure. Like I revisit those moments of her, watching her light up the room, so she's a huge inspiration for me for sure.
Now, how does she feel about that in terms of you drawing on aspects of her personality? It's funny because on one hand, you say she's a huge inspiration. So it's like, oh, she says I'm a huge inspiration. So she's inspired by that. But for you to say that you draw on some of her, maybe the goofiness or the outgoing aspect of her personality, how does she feel about that part of it as well?
Oh, she's completely flattered. She's like, oh, I know that. You know what that reminds me of? That one time, like, if she sees a movie or something, I do like little things. She's like, oh yeah. And she'll read for me sometimes for auditions.
Okay.
And,
oh, wow.
Oh man. Yeah, we have a good time. We have a good time.
Awesome. What's the age difference between you guys?
Actually a year and a half. So really close.
Okay. Now, had you guys talked about at some point at a particular time, as you further your career, would you like to incorporate her into your films or your television?
She runs so fast when I mention anything like that. I literally, we die laughing because I roped her into doing a commercial one time, and it was just B-roll. She didn't have to speak, and she just kind of had to like be real forlorn, looking off into the distance, and she's like sucking stones into this pond, and she's like, I feel so dumb right now, and she couldn't we were dying laughing. She's like, I'm supposed to be sad, but she couldn't keep it together. She was like, she couldn't do it. Because she's such a goofball. But no, she runs. She doesn't want any part of what I do.
Okay. Now, that's interesting considering the fact that her personality being what it is in terms of outgoing, that she wouldn't gravitate towards that. That's really interesting. Wow. Yeah, it is interesting. She's content just being the life of the party in real life. Sure. She's not, she's a real special girl. Yeah. Okay, that worked. That sounds good. You worked on several huge projects: The Avengers, Captain America: Winter Soldier, Transformers: Age of Extinction. You've been in the arena or the environment with a lot of heavyweight actors and actresses. Who would you say are your top 5 actors that you've been around, worked with, and top 5 actresses?
That's such a hard question.
Oof. Well, if you know what, if you want to do top 3 for actors and actresses, that's fine as well. But if you got 5, let's.
Okay. All right, let's try it.
Okay.
So I didn't get to work with Chris Evans like one-on-one or anything like that, but just watching him work, it was really interesting. He was very humble and very quiet. In a lot of ways, it reminded me of myself, because when I'm not on, I can be really introverted. And he was just really shy and didn't really talk to, a lot of people. But as soon as there were a couple times where he had to save, I was one of the people he saved from Loki. And there were a few times where we had to kind of okay, is this what we're doing? Are we rolling? And what's happening? kind of thing. But he would just turn it on when the cameras would roll. He got into Captain America mode. He was profesh. And I really admired that he was kind to people, and but he was also professional. That was really, really cool. I'm trying to think. I worked with Chrissy Teigen on a TV commercial. I was actually her stand-in, and I had a brief encounter with her. And I was just in that one encounter, I was really taken aback because she, I myself have a hard time accepting compliments. And sometimes when people say, oh my gosh, you're so pretty, or you're so beautiful, and that you're like, oh gosh, no, me, oh my hair, it looks like a mess, whatever. So you kind of dumb yourself down. In a lot of ways that can be perceived as fishing for more compliments, which that's not my intention at all. So in that respect, I'm still learning how to take a compliment. But when I met Chrissy, she walks into the room and she was just stunning. I'm talking, she looked like she was walking around with a filter on her face. She was just gorgeous. And I was like, oh my gosh, you are so beautiful. And her answer was, thank you. And as simple as that was, it was such a lesson to me, that was perfect. That's all she needed to say. She didn't need to be fed anything else. And I was the way that I perceived that, I learned a lot in just that one little encounter from her on how to take a compliment. And you know what? It's dignified just to say, thank you. And that's it. It's simple and plain. So I love that about her. To think of another, trying to think. Okay. So I met Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, wow. Okay.
At Transformers. And that whole story is hilarious, actually. The reason I got cast on that is because I first worked on Avengers, and the casting director for that saw me on set and was and I was just an extra, featured extra, whatever. Okay. And she came up to me and she was like, hey, we're shooting Captain America 2 in Cleveland. So when it comes, don't go stand in line for the I will call you. My people will call you. And I'm like, okay. So that whole thing happened. So I hear casting, hey, they're coming. Captain America 2 is a year later. And I'm like, oh man, I'm not getting a call yet. What if she forgot about me? So I didn't listen, and I went and stood in line in the rain, and I get all the way through casting. I'm talking hundreds of people, right? I get up there to the final casting thing, and I get up there and they're taking my name, and the casting director looks by all these people and she sees me standing there and she goes, Layla, I told you not to come stand in line. And she remembered me. And I was like,
Sure.
what? And she was like, get out of line. What are you doing? Get over here. And she starts like telling me like, this is your role. You're going to be a SHIELD agent. Don't worry about it. I've got this role for you. You're fine. And I'm like, okay. So I left. And then on the set of Captain America 2, she found me and was like, hey, have you ever worked with Michael Bay? And I'm like, let me think. No, I've never worked with Michael Bay. I think I would remember. And I was like, no. She was like, oh, he would love you. We're shooting Transformers. I got to get you in front of him. He would absolutely love you. And so I'm like, okay, yes. Where do I sign up? So she says, don't worry about it. Come to Detroit. We'll take you on set. She gets me the first day I get on set. I'm going to wardrobe and I'm walking through and I'm meeting all the stylists and stuff. And she's announcing to everyone, excuse me, everyone, this is Layla Cushman. She is playing the international supermodel. She doesn't wait in line. Don't talk to her. She's with me and I'm taking her on set to meet Michael. And I'm like, great. I have literally no friends right now because you just made me like this special person that I'm really not anybody. So she proceeds to walk me through set. I'm walking through like a blown up Transformer set, right? With rubble in high heels because she's got me in wardrobe. High heels, Daisy Dukes, and I'm walking through. She takes me behind the camera with Michael Bay. And they're just getting ready to shoot this huge sunset shot, which is his favorite kind of stuff, right? Dinobots are tearing stuff up. So Mark Wahlberg comes and there's a break. So he comes behind the camera. So me, Mark Wahlberg, Michael Bay. I was talking to Mark Wahlberg's assistant or his manager on this side of me. I didn't know Mark Wahlberg was beside me because I was talking this way and then he came back here up beside me. He's bumping into me and it's real tight behind the camera. So I'm like, I keep like pushing back into this person and the manager's telling me all about this stuff. And I didn't even know that was his manager. I'm just shooting the breeze about who knows what. And all of a sudden I hear all this screaming from like a block away because it's on location. We're in Detroit downtown. So all these people, the public was just watching, start screaming. And I'm like, what is everybody screaming at? And his manager goes, look beside you. And I'm like, what? And I turn and it's Mark Wahlberg that I've been bumping. I'm like,
oh, wow.
I've been like bumping Mark Wahlberg the whole time. And I turn and I'm like face to face with them. And he goes, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, just like the movies. And I'm like, I was so shell-shocked. I've never been starstruck before, but I think because I just wasn't expecting it, I didn't say a single word to him. Do you know that I was like, and I just turned right back around and cold shouldered Mark Wahlberg. Who does that?
Wow.
So, and the rest of the shoot, he kept like trying to find me and like look at me. And he was like, who is that girl that just like completely snubbed me like behind the camera? So, I would say that's up there. He was cool. I just didn't say anything to him. Yeah.
Sure. Did you have an opportunity to have a conversation with him afterwards at some point to clear it up and say, hey, I'm sorry, I was just shy. I wasn't expecting it. Or how did that play out? Or was that just, that was it?
I told his manager, I didn't see him. I didn't talk to him but I told his manager, I was like, holy crap. I was like, I'm an idiot. She's like, he's fine. He's real cool. She's like, I'll tell him. You just, it's cool. Yeah. So she relayed the message for me. So he doesn't think I don't think it's keeping him up at night, to be honest with you. He's probably doesn't even remember me, but yeah, no, it was definitely an experience for sure.
Wow. What would you say in terms of projects of that magnitude was your favorite to work on so far?
I would say Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was probably my favorite.
Really?
Yes. Oh my gosh. We got to shoot in Atlanta in the Pinewood Studios. It's called something different now, but they had, it was all green screen and I had to wear the wardrobing was amazing. And I had to be spray painted solid gold. I mean, I was in hair and makeup for like 3 hours every day. Solid gold. They gave me a platinum blonde wig. I had color contacts. And the outfit was like a wetsuit. They had to zip me up into super tight. And I played the bad guy, which I like to play bad guy. And so that was a lot of fun. I was on set for about 7 days on that one. But anytime you work on Marvel stuff, it's super like top secret. and you
Right.
can't tell people what you're doing. You can't tell people your outfit. You can't take pictures. So on that set, when they were taking us to and from set, there were helicopters, like paparazzi trying to get photos of like whatever Marvel movie was shooting there, and costumes and stuff. And so they had to have us cloaked in these, like, anytime we left, we had all these huge cloaks we had to put over us because we couldn't be seen in our costumes. So it was kind of cool, just like all the secrecy around Marvel stuff is
Absolutely.
really, yeah.
What other Marvel projects have you worked on? I know you worked on, like we talked about, a Winter Soldier. You worked on the Avengers, so you worked on Guardians of the Galaxy 2 as well. Anything else?
No, those are the only Marvel, which is so funny because I don't know how this happened, but somebody added me to the MCU. So like, if you Google my name, I show up, I'm like in the MCU, I guess. So
I mean, you are. That's true. You are at 3 films, sure. Yeah.
I'm in there. So yeah, so I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty good. Layla, 9 times out of 10, I mean, for you to be plugged in, I would imagine that you will be getting more calls because, I mean, you definitely look the part. You're beautiful, you're fit, so those, I mean, they don't play around. That's generally what they serious about that,
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And it makes sense because it's like, for comic books, that's what's in comic books, the muscular men, women, the aesthetically pleasing. So yeah. I could watch. That's a beautiful thing.
I'll thank my trainer for you. He's been trying to kick my butt, keep me in shape. So
I was going to ask you, for you to be in the good shape, the phenomenal shape that you're in, tell me about your training and your nutrition.
Well, I eat pretty much everything I can get my hands on, except for I don't eat gluten and dairy. So that keeps a lot of the sweets out of my hands because there's not a lot of gluten-free cakes that are delicious. So I eat pretty healthy for the most part. I don't shy away from an Oreo because they make them gluten-free now. But I just train with my trainer. He does real targeted training. So not a ton of cardio because I want to stay. I don't want to we're trying not to lose weight, but just tone up what I have. So he's got me on a real nice regimen. So.
How many times a week?
2 times a week.
2 times a week. Okay.
It's all I have time for. Yeah, I'm so busy. It's hard to maintain a good schedule.
Sure, that's understandable. But what's important is that you're doing it, so a lot of little amounts to big. So that's a good thing.
Right.
You touched on something earlier, excuse me, that I think is very important, and I can relate to that as well. And I think a lot of people can relate to it. And that is accepting a compliment. Particularly, I know for myself, growing up with self-esteem and confidence issues, it was hard for me, and even now as an adult, it's still hard for me sometimes to embrace a compliment because you don't know if a person is genuine, or because you don't feel deserving of it, or what your self-image is. But yeah, you're right in terms of what Chrissy did and saying thank you, and that's one of the quickest, easiest things that I've learned that you can do. Compliments, you just say thank you, because don't downplay it. Don't say, oh no, I'm trying to be like you, or no, I like just you say thank you, and it can the more you do it, the better you get. So I think that's really cool that you learn that and you made that identification. And also for people like yourself that are at a certain point, and I've lost count how many times I've said it, but it's like, people see you and see what you do, they don't understand or take into account that you've had your issues and your struggles, and you're working on things just like everybody else. So thanks for sharing that with me and for those that will see this interview. So
of course, yeah. I know we all have our things. So you can make anything a learning experience if you're listening and if you're paying attention, and it's up to you how you respond to things. So that's the only thing you can control sometimes in the world is how you respond. So yeah, I love learning things, and even about myself, even though it's difficult sometimes.
That's it. Now, okay, so top 5 actors and actresses, or top 3 actors and actresses that you would like to work with.
Oh man, there's so many good ones. All right, top for me, Jessica Chastain is like hands down. Everything I've ever seen her in, she's just magic on screen. I mean, what she brings to characters it blows your mind. Oh my gosh, I would love to just work with her. She's my top for sure. Actor, Trying to think. I love Jim Carrey.
Okay.
All the way back to, and I know he's had his ups and downs with media, but like, oh my gosh, some of my favorite films, the quotable ones. I mean, Cable Guy is one of my favorite movies. It's just this dark, weird humor. But man, he is just so gifted with physicality as an actor. I mean, he can be comedic, he can be really sad and dark. Just his range is really impressive, and I would love to work with him in any capacity. He's definitely on one of the top of my list. Third one, trying to think. I think I would love to work with maybe Reese Witherspoon.
Okay, classic.
Yeah, she's classic, but she's also a huge advocate for women in film, and so is Jessica Chastain. But like, she's just like one of those people that I feel like is that sweet home girl, but she means business. And I admire a woman who has a good business sense about her, because she's smart on the business end of film as well as in front of the camera. And I admire that a lot when I see that in an actor. So for sure.
That'll work. Sounds good. What would you say thus far is your proudest moment as it relates to entertainment? We talked about the most fun. You said Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So
yeah.
What would you say is your proudest thing you've done, thing you're proud of so far?
The thing I'm most proud of to date that I've done, I don't think the thing I'm going to be most proud of in my career has happened yet, to be honest with you. Because it's coming. I got a lot of things going on, and I just feel like, I've got more in me that I could be even more proud of. But there was a TV series that I shot, and it was called Outsiders. And I had to really, for the audition process, I guess I was most proud of my audition for that, because it was before COVID, and we had to be in the face of the director. And it was one of these things where he brought us in, and I was supposed to play a woman who lived off the mountain in this mysterious tribe of women who hated men, and we only saw them as a means to procreate, or sometimes even, and then afterwards we would kill them and eat them. Sorry, that's like super morbid, but super far away from obviously anything in reality. But for that role, I had to really like, okay, I'm coming into this. We go in, there's 12 of us girls that are in the room together auditioning, right? We come in and the director comes out and he says, by the way, there's going to be a little bit of a different audition process. You have no script. We didn't give you any script or lines or anything. So what I need you to do is you have 10 minutes to come up with a character name, a backstory about your character, and I want you to come into the audition room in character. So, and then I will ask you to flip the switch, and I'll meet you at the end of the audition. And so he's like, I'll be calling you in. So if you're first, sorry, you don't have as much time as the other girls. So I'm like, oh gosh. So we're all like, please don't call her name. We're all just like going into that corner to try to like think about how are we going to do this. So number one, Layla Cushman. I'm like, mother. So it's me and I'm up. So I come in and I'm in this like brooding, you know, my eyes are down and I've got this look like I would like to kill you because you're a male director. And so I'm already like just in character to walk in and give myself the name of Kira. I'm really slow and quiet and scary and calculative when I talk. And it got so far into the audition, he's asking me questions and I was just improvising, like I had every answer on, and he's like, well, what about this? And I was very like, I just was feeling it, you know, I was like improvising. It got to the point where he actually said, okay, you're actually kind of scaring me a little bit. Can I meet Layla? And cause I had him convinced that I literally would like to jump across the desk and murder him and kill him. Like I was looking at him like he was like I, you know, and it scared him to a point. But I thought when that happened, I was like, okay, I brought it. And so like, as soon as he said, I'd like to meet Layla, I'm like, oh, hi, my name's Layla. Nice to meet you. I'm not really mean, or I don't want to kill you. And he was like, that was crazy. And I ended up booking it. They loved it. So we got on set, and of course I have to wear like no makeup. They actually added dirt to me. They dreadlocked my hair. I had scars. They had to do scarification on me. So I was in hair and makeup, getting all that done. And I had to be really tough, and I had to have guns, and I had to have knives, and I had to go through weapons training. I had to go through some stunt training and stuff like that. And I loved it. It was challenging. I felt really proud of my performance. I felt proud of earning that role because I really had to put on a character, you know?
Yes. Yes.
We shot that for several weeks in the mountains of Pennsylvania. It was freezing, and it was hot. It was like all the things. And so I really felt like that was a role that I say I would be proud of.
Wow. Okay. I could definitely see where you would, Layla. What now? How did you manage that? How were you able to accomplish that? To that, like, I remember you saying he feels bad for whomever goes first. How much time did you have before he called your name, and how did you pull such a great performance on such a whim?
Okay, so for me, I mean, obviously, to make up a character out of thin air is difficult. I had 10 minutes. And so I'm like, I know basics, and this is a brand new show. So I don't know, this is a brand new, so I have no backstory, I have no context for what I'm looking at here. So we had just watched The Jungle Book with my husband and kids, literally like that past weekend. And so I'm thinking, all right, I can be like a savage female Mowgli. I got this, you know?
Nice.
Like, so I drew from, like, we had just watched it. He lived off the land. He was fierce when he needed to be. He protected his family, which were animals. But I'm just thinking like all these things. And so I really started to kind of like, I drew on it. I didn't have time. So I drew on something that was really superficial. Had I had more time, I probably would have studied a bit more about maybe Appalachian tribes that lived in Pennsylvania. What kind of things did that, you do a little research on. I didn't have time to do that. So I'm like, we're going with Mowgli. I'm a female savage Mowgli. That's what we're going with. And so that's what I did, and it worked.
That is awesome. And then that particular film, you were like in the top billing cast as well, weren't you?
In that one,
I thought you were.
Yeah. I was definitely.
Okay, I'm sorry. But I'm almost positive because when I was doing some research, some homework, that was one that I remember. Yeah, definitely. Wow, well, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What are your aspirations in terms of your entertainment career? Are you content to continue to act, or would you like to get into producing, directing, writing? What is the end game, I should say, or the long term for you with it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I have dabbled in writing a bit, and I do love that. A couple scripts I have a couple that are almost finished.
Okay.
And I would love to do something with those. Producing, I'm not. Directing, yes.
Okay.
And kind of producing comes hand in hand with that, I guess, at a certain point. But I've had an opportunity to meet a lot of really amazing female directors lately. And oh my gosh, they're like goals for me. They're superheroes because they started out acting. Some of them act and direct in the same film. And that blows my mind. You have to be thinking about so many things. So to get to a place where my brain can be like, okay, not just think about the scene, but the whole movie as a whole, because directors don't just think about like this scene. They're like, okay, but how does that play into when we're shooting? It's just a lot of just visual aspects. They're even down to like continuity stuff. Like they're thinking about all this stuff all the time in addition to acting or the actor's performance and all that stuff. And I want to get to that place where I'm wearing all those hats. My brain can handle looking at all aspects of the film that way. Okay. Not that I don't, but like, it's not my job. Like in my sense as an actor, I'm like, it's not my job to worry about, continuity, what did I have a purse when I walked out of the scene and now I do, like that kind of stuff. But the director would be like, hold on. And that's not really her job either. There is a continuity person, but she's always thinking about all those things. And as an actor, I'm like, I'm here for my performance. You told me my purse was here, then give it to me. Let's go. I don't know. Like, I'm just got to be in character and like deliver and be here for my scene partner. So yeah, I think down the road, I would like to do that. I'd like to do more serious acting as well. Like ugly crying, like the ugly stuff. I don't ever get to be like, I'm always like the fabulous housewife, or the lady who stole somebody's man, or the other woman, or like I play like kind of a lot of that kind of stuff. And I'm like, can I just be like a girl that's just okay, that's just like, you know, don't say anything about the appearance. Maybe I just live next door. Maybe I'm just over there. Maybe I work in accounting. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like more serious tone stuff, and not that I don't love Hallmark, but I've had a lot of that going on lately.
Sure.
I've got a couple Hallmark movies that are slated to come out this year, and I love it. I think they're great. People love Hallmark. But it's like, oh, you know, and I want to ugly cry a couple times, just saying.
Sure. Grateful, but you want to push that range. I get it. Now,
yes.
in terms of wanting to do serious things, do you want to do villains, or you know what? Yeah, tell me about that. Do you want it to be villainy, or just serious, more serious roles?
I think playing the villain is amazingly awesome and fun. I'm actually just got cast in a Lifetime movie, and I'm not to give it away. Maybe I shouldn't say. Anyways, there's a twist. So yeah, not to hint to anything that I shouldn't, but yeah. So that opportunity is gonna be great for me. But in as to answer your question, I would say more serious stuff.
Okay.
You know, yeah, like some struggles, like, you know, real life struggles. Mm-hmm. Not like, oh no, the bake sale, it got rained out, and now what are we going to raise money for the town?
Sure. Right? Yeah.
Serious, more serious stuff, you know.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. What would you say? Oh, I'm sorry. Who would you say have been the most influential people in your journey, entertainment-wise?
It's a great question. Influential people. Honestly, if I could be honest, it'd probably be my husband. Okay. He's very supportive, and to a fault, everything I do is awesome, he says. So I'm like, sometimes just be like, babe, that sucked. Like, do it again. And he's like, that was great. And I'm like, but I need a little hot, tough love here. But he's just always like been my cheerleader. He's always rooted for me. He's always like, you're the best. I know you're going to get it. You're going to kill it. Like, whether I get it or not, I walk into the audition room or into anything feeling like I got a solid chance at this, because my husband said I'm awesome. So just let everybody know, my husband says I'm awesome. So I'm probably awesome. He's a good one.
That's good. Okay. So he in terms of he wouldn't be influential just in entertainment, but possibly just in life as a whole. Man.
I guess that's fair. And it's to answer your question, I've had a few really awesome agents that have really guided me and given me a lot of great tips and stuff along my early journey, like what to do and how to behave on just different things, like what kind of acting classes to get involved in. And I've had a few really great acting coaches, and I've had a few great workshops and stuff like that. But I'd say the most influential would probably be some of those agents who have guided me and kind of guided my career, that have been with me for years. So I would definitely shout them out for sure.
Okay. Now, we talked about just recently, your husband actually is transferable to my other question, but the agents, your husband, were influential as it relates to the entertainment aspect. Who would you say were some are some influential people just in life for you as a whole?
Influential people in life for me as a whole. Besides my husband, my mom is also my biggest cheerleader. Okay. All very embarrassing, the most embarrassing mother you've ever met. Here I am, this a full-grown adult, and she's still if we're at the grocery store, she'll be with me. We're buying Easter dinner food, and we'll be at the checkout, and the lady looks up at me. The lady checking us out at the register will be like, oh, you look familiar. And my mom will be like, oh yeah, it's probably because she's been in this, and you probably recognize her from this. And I'm like, Mom, nobody recognizes me from anything. Just be quiet. And then it's a million questions. So she's always like just bragging on me and makes me feel like what I do is special. And there's also a lot of really great actors that I've worked with, and that we have the same agents that it's just a family. Like, you always root for each other, and you're like, hey, you're doing great. Hey, I love what you're doing. Hey, keep on going, sister. Hey, I saw your commercial. Awesome job. Like, man, actors supporting actors, there's just nothing more valuable than that. I mean, we're all doing the same thing. At a certain point, sure, there's a little competition, but at the same time, if somebody gets a role over me and we were going for the same thing, I'm like, you were the perfect person for the role, girlfriend, get it, kill it. You better do that thing. Like, I am totally rooting for every single body, even if it put me out, and I feel like a lot of actors are that way, there's this narrative that's created sometimes with actors being real competitive and like catty. I've never experienced that, at least in everybody's always rooting for everybody. And I love that. I love that about this industry. I love that about this craft, is that you can identify that, hey, sometimes you're not right for the role, and that's okay, and it's not your fault. That girl was, and she's going to kill it, and I love it. Yeah.
It's refreshing to hear.
Yeah.
Okay. What would be some advice or encouragement that you would give to someone that's facing a tough time in their life?
Some advice or encouragement. I would say, as it relates to the acting world, if you don't get a job and you don't get an audition, and it can be really tough. Like, you pour yourself into some of these characters. Sometimes you'll get a script and like, okay, sometimes they give you the whole script and you spend an hour and a half reading the entire script front to back, which is, a little over 100 pages. You get into character, you create all your stuff, and you do it, and you just spend almost so much time getting into it, and you think, all right, I got a solid shot, and you don't get it. It can either take you to a really dark place where you're like, I'm giving up on this, like, I can't believe I didn't get it. Or you can say, well, on to the next one. Just keep swimming. My motto is, man, like, just keep swimming. Like, on to the next one. You got to brush it off and keep going. And I think even in life, saying just keep swimming. And I'm a Christian, I'm a believer. And I heavily rely on the word and what God said, who God says I am. And that helps a lot in every circumstance, even in this industry. Like, my joy is not found in getting a job, booking a role. My joy is in him and who he says I am. And when you return to that truth at the end of the day, whether it's you had a hard day just in general, or you had a hard day in your career, you had some bad blows, you had some bad news, you didn't book the role. When you return to the idea of like, yeah, but that doesn't define me. I am who God says I am. And if you can find that base and you can find that foundation at the end of the day, you're doing okay, because you can get up the next morning and be like, let's start this over again. Each day is different. Each day has something different to offer. And as I said before, you cannot control anything in this world. You can't control the way somebody treats you at the grocery store. You can't control the way somebody says something. You can't control whether you book a job. What you can control is your response and how you respond to it. So that's the only thing you can control. So you better make it good. You better make it count. And just remember, remember who you are in Christ, and remember who he says you are. And yeah, just keep your chin up and keep on going, man. That's all you can do.
Amen. I got one for you. What's some encouragement that you wish someone had given you in a time when you needed it? And this could have been when you were 5, 17, 22. What's a word of encouragement that you wish someone had said to you at a particular point in time where you were facing a moment or time of discomfort?
That's a really good question. So if we can go far back, like when I was in junior high, like middle school, even elementary, I was bullied quite a bit because it was really thin and different. And I was not very, even my mom says, yeah, you weren't a cute kid. It's fine. But even like those times where people were mean to me or they would say things to me, I absorbed a lot of it. I just absorbed it. I didn't ever fight back. I never was like, I didn't really talk about it either. I just kind of absorbed it. and would just keep on going and be like, hey, well, that was mean. And I would just absorb it and kind of just keep it to myself. But, you know, when I got a little bit older, it really started to take a toll on me, especially in high school. And I wish somebody would have said, like, all these things that seem so big to you now aren't really going to matter, like, when you get out of high school. They're really not. Like, and it's so hard to tell somebody that's going through that in high school, because their entire world is high school. That's all they know. 7 days a week or 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. This is their world. And so it's hard to even, like, sit somebody down and be like, I know this seems crazy, but, like, man, it's hard right now. Man, people are mean to you. It's not going to be that way. It doesn't matter. These small little battles you're facing now aren't going to be even a thing in your mind. When you're out of high school and you've grown up, you're not even going to think about these moments. And I kind of wish somebody would have tried a little harder to get that into me, because, like I said, I absorbed a lot, and I had, that's part of the reason I had self-esteem issues, you know, and it's why I have a hard time taking a compliment, because I'm like, well, you know, I didn't get that growing up. And so it was like, yeah, so it's difficult. So I just wish somebody would have sat me down and tried a little harder to get that into my head. Whether I would have listened or not, I don't know. But, you know, coming out of it now as an adult, I don't like ever think about that. I don't think about those people that did mean things to me in high school. And I'm like, I don't hold on. It's not like I'm like up at night, like, remember that person says, I don't even remember their names, you know? It's like, so, yeah.
Okay. Well, Layla, I want to thank you again so very much for accepting my invite and taking some time out of your schedule to have a conversation with me. I definitely appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to more of you and the projects that you put out.
Yes, I so appreciate you inviting me to be on here, and admire everything you do. I've been checking your social, and I love it. I love it too.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. I appreciate that encouragement. Wow. Thank you. Well, we have identified ourselves as Christians, so I will be praying for you, the Lord's favor, you know, and protection over you and your family. So
thank you, Kendrick. I really appreciate that. And same to you.
Thank you. I appreciate you, Layla. You take care, okay?
Yep, you too.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.